Hello, friends. Welcome to another episode of Moments with Mom and Dad, where we endeavor to share life lessons from the heart of spiritual parents. And today I'm sitting with my youngest daughter, Natalie. Natalie has a background, a career in mental health, and specifically in trauma therapy, I guess you could say. And today I want to talk about, revisit this subject that we had shared several episodes back, and that is resilience. It's something that we have endeavored to teach our children growing up. The fact that everybody's going to experience difficult times and even crisis in their life, and how important it is to bounce back from those times in your life and to continue without quitting. And so I wanted to ask you, Nat, because your experience has been in a very broad field of working with people who have experienced crisis in their life. And one of the observations that we had made previously is that it seems like people in other cultures seem to be more resilient than even our culture. How do you explain that?
I certainly our culture is very individualistic. So I think more than likely, if you were to look at the world and different countries all over the world, the USA is probably the most individualistic, or definitely up there at the top of the list. And it's the literature is pretty clear that that community and leaning into each other, particularly in hard times, but just generally being communally minded, that promotes resilience. That's one of the key ingredients, really, of being able to overcome adversity, is being able to seek out support from those around you.
Sure. And we're not even talking necessarily about church community, because some people overseas don't necessarily have church community, but they just lean on the community that they're involved with because it's a cultural value. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Not necessarily church community, although of course we know it's like one of the strongest communities, for one to be involved with. But yes, it's whether it's family, extended family, or just you think about people live differently, like those small villages or whatever your community looks like. It's not really the particulars; it's the people in your life. So
sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that there are any other factors that go into people being able to bounce back from crises in their life? Of course, community being maybe the most important one.
One of the most important, but I also think expectation is something that maybe we don't immediately think about when we think about a resilient person, but having realistic expectations. I think, again, not to come down too hard on the United States, but I do think that we live in a very privileged society, and so we're not very. I wouldn't say we're the hardiest, hardiest group of people. I think that there's people that live in other countries, and they face hardship every single day. Whether it's what will I have food to put on the table today, and they don't necessarily have the same expectation that happiness means having the brand new remodeled kitchen and driving the whatever $30,000, $50,000 car, and so I think having maybe a different set of expectations, kind of knowing that hardship is a part of life, and not being too thrown when things don't really go your way.
Yeah. And you just mentioned hardship is a part of life, which is a lesson that I don't think parents teach their children normally in our culture I don't want to just say early age, but at any age. We live right now in one of the terms that is used of this Generation Z, or whatever they call them now, is that there's snowflakes, which to me means that any amount of stress in their life, whether it's social or school or whatever, it just kind of causes them to melt away, and that seems to be, one of the dominant characteristics of this younger generation. I would say that parents are not telling kids, listen, life is hard sometimes. Jesus taught that whoever's building their house, whether it's on the sand or on the rock, storms are going to come. Mm-hmm. And depending on how you're building your house, sand or rock, it's going to stand. So yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what parents are teaching, preparing their youngsters for.
Mm-hmm. I mean, speaking as a young mom raising a 4-year-old and a 3-year-old in this current society, I would say that there's some sort of social pressure that the responsibility is completely on you to provide your child with the most well-rounded, happy-go-lucky, have every want, every need and desire, certainly every need, but every desire, every whim, fulfilled. Mm-hmm. There's commercials, there's competition and comparing, and so I think that's true, that there's almost a pressure on parents that my kid needs to have the same thing that kid over there has, and they need to have all the good experiences. They can't have any of the bad experiences, and it's kind of I'm concerned that I certainly don't want my children to be fragile or
Sure.
grow up and be snowflakes that just melt under any.
Sure.
So.
I remember very intentionally teaching you and your sister about problem solving. If you have a problem, it's not going to be dad or mom that are going to be the ones that figure it out all the time. That you need to figure out the problem and work it out yourself. Again, not sure how often that is taught in today's household, but I think it's a key component to child rearing is to teach your child at a very early age on how to solve problems for themselves. And of course, that's a very elementary introduction to being resilient, because obstacles come in life, and in order to surmount those obstacles, you need to be able to solve problems.
Mm-hmm. Yes, yeah, I agree.
So we appreciate just talking about this subject, which I think is very important, and we'd love to hear from you, your feedback on this. I'm sure that a lot of people out there have experiences of their own. But we're talking about resilience, and I want to thank you, Natalie, for joining us, and continued success in your career as a
licensed professional
counsel. Very good. Well, God bless you. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you again next time.